Speaker of the Parliament of Georgia, Shalva Papuashvili, sits down for an exclusive interview with Leaders Talk. On his first visit to China, with stops in Beijing and Shanxi province, he observed,
for many countries worldwide, China is an example of transformation and development of country, be it political development, be it economic development, be it development of the society.
Speaking about China's distinctive role on the global stage, he said,
China's peace policy, let's call it so, is something which I think will be respected more and more from different players globally.
Leaders Talk, coming up.
Hello and welcome to Leaders Talk, where we meet leaders, thinkers, and trailblazers. I'm So Yun. June the 9th marks the 34th anniversary of diplomatic relations between China and Georgia. And on this occasion, the two countries have also elevated their relations to a comprehensive strategic partnership. And our guest today is Shalva Papuashvili, Speaker of the Parliament of Georgia. What are his expectations for the future development of China-Georgia relation? During his first visit to China, which took him to Beijing and Shanxi province, what impressions did China's modernization leave on him? Through in-depth exchanges and cooperation with China's National People's Congress, how does he view China's achievements in advancing the rule of law? Today, we're going to explore all these questions and more in our conversation with him.
Since establishing diplomatic relations in 1992, China and Georgia have advanced their ties on the basis of mutual respect, mutual trust, and win-win cooperation, promoting the healthy and stable development of bilateral relations and delivering tangible results across a broad range of sectors. Since the establishment of a strategic partnership in 2023, political mutual trust has continued to deepen, while practical cooperation has gained further momentum. On June 9, 2026, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Georgian President Mikhail Kavalashvili exchanged congratulatory messages and jointly announced the elevation of bilateral relations to a comprehensive strategic partnership, opening a new chapter in the long-standing friendship between the two countries.
Your Excellency, Mrs. Speaker, greetings to you, and thank you for joining us on Leaders Talk.
First of all, thank you very much for having interest to have an interview with me.
As we know that this is not only your first official trip to China after assuming office as the Speaker of Georgian Parliament, actually is the very first China trip that you have ever embarked.
Indeed, it's my first official visit in China, and not only for me. Actually, it's first official visit of the Speaker of the Parliament of Georgia for the last 20 years. And it shows the importance we are putting in this visit and the importance both sides are actually putting in this visit. Georgia
was the first country in South Caucasus to elevate its bilateral relation with China to strategic partnership back in 2023. As the 35th anniversary of our bilateral diplomatic relations is approaching next year. So how do you assess the overall trajectory of our bilateral relations?
For our 35th anniversary of diplomatic relations, of course, we are looking in the future. Yeah, as we mentioned, we have a strategic partnership, we have a free trade agreement, we have visa-free regime. These are all achievements of the last few years. And Georgia, as to my knowledge, is still the only country in the region which has a free trade agreement, both with China and with the European Union. And it makes opens not only for Georgia the opportunity for the trade and economic exchange, but also for others, makes Georgia attractive.
Mr. Speaker, you have also stated that China has made significant, remarkable strides across all areas of life in the past decades. So which aspect of the country's development impressed you the most?
Generally, I think not only for us, but for many countries worldwide, China is an example of transformation and development of country, be it political development, be it economic development, be it development of the society. And in this regard, especially when the country is looking in the future, planning has a planning system which goes for years and knows the aims, what should be the final result of different steps. It shows that it's a systematic approach which China is following, and this is what actually enabled the huge steps in economic development of China.
And as you mentioned, this year marks the launch of China's new 5-year plan.
In this regard, China is a good example for us to follow, which, by the way, is also in Georgia the case, especially for in last 5-6 years. Georgia's economy developed very fast, and we have also long-term planning for this term of the Parliament until 2028. We have set different aims for the economic development, for the employment rates, etc.
At the 8th China International Import Expo in November 2025, Georgia participated as a guest country of honor for the first time, sending its largest ever business delegation to the event. Bilateral trade reached a record $2.7 billion that year. In April 2026, the two sides signed the protocol on the upgrade of the China-Georgia Free Trade Agreement in Beijing. Building on the momentum of the Belt and Road Initiative, the upgraded agreement has injected fresh impetus into bilateral trade and economic ties and created new opportunities for practical cooperation between the two countries.
Georgia was actually among the first countries to respond positively and also join China's Belt and Road Initiative, this strategic location of your country, and also this economic resilience that has been shown in your country. So how do you think both countries can take the advantages of each other's competitive advantage to further strengthen cooperation in areas such as connectivity, trade, etc.?
Yes, indeed, Georgia is one of the huge supporters of the Belt and Road Initiative, and Georgia traditionally had a role of connecting Europe with Asia. We see nowadays that the historic role Georgia always had has also a role nowadays. Georgia and generally the South Caucasus offers fastest and cheapest way to connect Europe with Asia, to connect China with European Union. This is why we see ourselves as a part in supporting of this initiative. In this regard, most importantly for us is development of the logistic infrastructure, where we hope to have a more intensive exchange and cooperation with China, would be development of the logistical infrastructure in Georgia, which at the end will benefit all participants who will use the so-called middle corridor or Caspian corridor. So this is why it's a mutual beneficial to be part of this idea.
What kind of outcome do you hope to deliver, since this is the day one of your trip?
I think both countries, China and Georgia, share many things which are regarding the peaceful development of the countries and peaceful policy in international politics. So these shared values, also the common interest in cooperation, is what led us to China. And the goal is also to enhance the partnership and the cooperation between two parliaments.
Well, Mr. Speaker, during your trip this time, you're also scheduled to visit Shanxi province. So what do you most look forward to experiencing in Shanxi province?
Yeah, it's interesting also for me to see the region, and especially from the historical point, and also that Xi'an is, as to my knowledge, the eastern starting point of Silk Road.
That's right.
So in this regard, for Georgians who are part of the Silk Road, it's of course interesting to see where it starts or where it ends, depending from which side you look at this. So therefore, I'm really looking forward to see how, of course, we'll have also the meeting with the government representatives there, but also to enjoy the culture there.
Like which aspect of the culture that you most look forward to experiencing and seeing there?
I mean, generally culture, but of course, being there and not seeing the terracotta, I mean, it's a must-see, of course. As I said, it's not only my first time officially being here, but also generally my first time, and of course, someone who loves history, history of different countries, and especially of the old civilizations like China. The terracotta warriors, to see it with your own eyes, it's experience which is unique.
During his visit to Shanxi province, Speaker Papuashvili explored the historic city of Xi'an. At the ancient city wall, he watched Dream of Chang'an, the Grand Tang welcoming ceremony, and at the Terracotta Warriors Museum, he paused before the ranks of soldiers that have stood for more than 2 millennia, gaining a deeper appreciation of China's rich historical legacy. He also expressed keen interest in China's rapidly growing new energy vehicle industry, visiting a local EV manufacturer to learn about technological innovation and advanced production processes. Looking ahead, he said he hopes to return to China and visit more parts of the country in the future.
Just now, you told me that the reason, or part of the reason, that this trip is very short, 3 days, is because maybe in the future, possibly, that you want to come here more often for some personal trip. Let's just say, if in the future you have this opportunity, which part of the country of China? Is there like a specific city or like a place, a sightseeing place that you really want to visit in the future for your personal trip?
So fortunately, the relations between two countries enables us also to develop exchange between the people-to-people relations. It means that for the last already 2 years, I think, we have a visa-free regime, which enables the citizens of China or Georgia to travel without visa as a tourist. We have more and more direct flights. I think beginning of July, the new direct flight connecting Tbilisi in Shanghai will open. So maybe this will be the first first place to visit, using the direct flight connecting these two cities.
Each day, there are millions of stories. Each one can open new perspectives, new possibilities. Wherever you look, we are there. To see, discover, explore. We put the pieces together to find what really matters to you, all around the world, all around the clock. Our reporters are at home across the globe. From our headquarters in Beijing and production centers in Washington, Nairobi, and London. Stories from across the globe, reaching people across the globe. CGTN. See the difference.
Located at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, Georgia occupies a strategic position in the South Caucasus. It borders the Black Sea to the west, Russia to the north, Azerbaijan to the southeast, Armenia to the south, and Turkey to the southwest. Known for its diverse landscapes and mild climate, Georgia has long been recognized for its agriculture, livestock farming, and centuries-old winemaking traditions. With 4 distinct seasons and abundant natural beauty, the country is attracting a growing number of visitors seeking both leisure travel and winter sports experiences.
I don't know whether you're aware that Georgia is also becoming an increasingly popular destination here in China among our Chinese tourists. And that was supported, of course, by mutual visa exemption, by direct flights, etc. So what are some of the distinct charms that you would like to introduce and to recommend to our Chinese viewers, those who haven't been there but who are willing to visit someday in the future?
First of all, I think for both nations, the first issue is that we are both one of the oldest civilizations, China and Georgia. Georgia is not only cold, but just recently there were other studies which proved that Georgia is also a cradle of wheat, and this is the oldest cultivated wheat found in Georgia. So therefore, Georgia, we can call Georgia an oldest place of bread. So
you've got everything. You've got wine from Quarry, also now bread.
So I think this part, I mean, culinary part of Georgia, it's always interesting for visitors to see in Georgia, but also ancient buildings and traditions.
That's really amazing.
Parliamentary exchanges are an important pillar of bilateral relations. They help foster mutual understanding and trust, advance mutually beneficial cooperation, and strengthen bonds between peoples. Over the years, China's National People's Congress and the Parliament of Georgia have maintained close engagement and productive cooperation. Through exchanges and mutual learning in areas such as legislation, sustainable development, and ecological conservation, the two sides have provided strong support for broader practical cooperation across multiple fields.
And as the Speaker of Georgian Parliament, how do you envision strengthening exchanges and cooperation with China's top legislature, which is the National People's Congress, the institution that invited you for this trip?
Yeah, so the parliaments generally, our aim is to form a legislative framework for the development of the country, for the international exchange, and of course in this regard to support our governments for economic and political cooperation. So we had the opportunity to talk about the exchange on those issues, which can be interesting for both sides. To give you one example, is educational system. In Georgia, we are now in the process of reforming the higher education, but also the education on the school level. And Chinese experience is something we have an interest in. So we have a cooperation on the level of the ministries, but we also agreed today to have an exchange on the committees level, on the parliament, on the level of the parliamentarians, for the creation of the legislative framework for the education system.
China has made significant legislative efforts in the past years. So let me give you an example. In 2025 alone, 6 new laws are being enacted and 14 revisions are made, covering areas from public health to cybersecurity. So what is your impression and your understanding of China's efforts and also especially its legislative momentum for all those years?
Of course, the transformation of a country needs also legislative support, and this work we are witnessing is important work which is done by the legislators here. I, as a legislator, of course, understand the special meaning, how the legislation is prepared, formed, made understandable for those who should use this legislation, government, citizens, businesses. And therefore, I also understand what kind of work stands behind every decision.
That's right.
And every legislative reform. So this is exactly what the parliamentary cooperation between different parliaments is there also, to learn from each other and to not only of content of the legislation, but also the legislation processes and procedures. So I think every right decision of the the reform of different sectors or institutions should be prepared well by the legislators.
So which part of China's judicial reforms and also its legislative efforts and also progress that you feel most inspiring?
I think at the end, what counts is well-being of the people. Mm-hmm. It's economic development of the country. I personally, when I look at the legislative developments, I look how the life of the people is made better through the legislation, how the economic well-being is developed. Therefore, this is how I'm trying always to look at the impact of the regulations on the society. And China, with the numbers and with the results we see, is a good example that if you assess the regulations and legislation, how these regulations at the end work and how they influence the life of the people.
Well, against this backdrop of international law being disrupted and also the global development is facing great challenges and uncertainties, China has raised 4 major initiatives, which Georgia has shown great support to. So how do you interpret the significance of those 4 major initiatives in upholding global security and promoting global prosperity?
Of course, we generally will support any initiative which is grounded and based on peaceful development of the world, and this is the dialogue, the international rules and law, that peaceful settlement of all disputes, and other principles which should be shared between the countries, that we are supporters of any kind of the initiatives which are on the basis of these principles. Look, Georgia is a small country, small I mean with meaning the influence, possibility to influence the international developments. We are heavily dependent on international law, dependent that every country respects international law, that every country respects the basic principle that all disputes should be settled in a peaceful manner.
Mr. Speaker, during some occasions, you have publicly criticized some of the unfair accusations of China. And why do you believe it is important to have a balanced view towards China? And where does your understanding of the image of China come from?
For me and for us, for Georgia, it's important to see where are those powers who support peaceful development, who support international rule and law. And I think China, with this, I would say, historically developed stance towards peace, towards international law, shows that the development of a country can be achieved also of a big country, can be achieved also without using force, threatening with force, or thinking that the only mean of the having being a global power is to somehow being seen as a big military power. China shows that with a peaceful policy, one can attract, one can show that the country is dedicated not only of development of itself, but development of the region around, right, development of the whole world, because we are part of the world which, if there is one problem or conflict on one side of the continent or one side of the globe, it at the end will reflect also on the other side. So therefore, China's peace policy, let's call it so, is something which I think will be respected more and more from different players globally.
The concept, the idea that you just mentioned is actually a key part of this vision proposed by President Xi. Is about a community of shared future for mankind. So it's not only the development, the rise of a single nation, it's actually It's about the well-being of all the human beings around the world.
Actually, you can see it internally in a country, but you can also see it in a cooperation of different countries that united, and with a shared development you can achieve more than when you are single and concentrated only on yourself.
And Georgia has also announced a plan to establish a new Academy of Diplomacy as early as next year. So what inspired this initiative?
Tomorrow I will visit the
Beijing Foreign Affairs University.
Yes. Foreign Affairs University, and we'll have an opportunity not only to discuss, let's say, international politics, but also to look how the university works, how the faculties are working on different issues. You're right, we just announced that there will be a diplomatic academy created. And in this regard, China, again, gives a good example how the diplomats are educated and how they are prepared for diplomatic works. And actually, diplomats are those who are the first line of defense of the national interests. So therefore, it's important also to invest in the education of the diplomats. So therefore, I think that the cooperation between the Foreign Affairs University and the academy, diplomatic academy, which will be established soon, will help us to learn a lot from the Chinese experience.
But what inspired your government to initiate this Academy of Diplomacy? It's going to be a brand new educational institution, right?
Yeah, as I mentioned, first of all, the need to specifically educate diplomats, to invest in that, to prepare them for the work outside of country, but also inside the country, and to concentrate on the high-level educational standards. So in this regard, as I mentioned, the experience in China would be of interest for us.
So, Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing your very insightful views, and have a great trip here in China.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here, and it was a pleasure to be your guest. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. In this exclusive interview, Speaker Papuashvili spoke highly of China's remarkable development achievements. He noted that China has become a source of inspiration for many countries through its accomplishments in governance, economic development, and social progress. He also said that Georgia is drawing on China's experience and looks forward to expanding practical cooperation with China in areas including infrastructure development, education and legislation, as well as trade and economic exchanges. With that, we're going to wrap up this edition of Leaders Talk. I'm So Yun. Thank you for watching and see you next time.